This thing that he's doing where he's pretending that he's a woman is very smart.
It really don't make a difference if you say he or she to me.
Some psychopath can just pretend that they're a woman and knock women over on the court.
Take this out. Norman's a fucking woman, dude. I bet.
It's a giant dude. A giant dude who's just dominating these chicks. So the more controversy there is, the more people do come to see them. The crazy thing about the WNBA, imagine if the NBA had the same sexual dynamic. Imagine if the most of the team was a bunch of gay dudes who were like very aggressive and black.
Men should not play sports against women. I'm not going to get into all the bullshit that's going on out here in the world today. If anybody thinks that, I think they're stupid. I'm not.
The WNBA has reportedly reached a moment where even the meaning of their W in its name is being questioned. 3 decades after its launch, the league continues to face growing scrutiny over its identity, direction, and future. Then, on August 14, 2026, Joe Rogan, host of one of the world's most popular podcasts with millions of listeners on Spotify, addressed the issue directly on the Joe Rogan Experience. His remarks brought renewed attention to questions that the WNBA itself appears to be struggling to resolve, placing its ongoing identity debate firmly in the spotlight.
If you can't define what a woman is, then you're an idiot, and this is nonsense. And that's what your ideology is. Your ideology is so stupid, you can't define the difference between a male and a female. And so you've decided that people identifying with something means it's a real thing, and you have to say it because everybody else says it, and they scare you, and they'll cancel you and go after you. So everyone's agreed to nonsense. So this is where we painted ourselves into this dumbass fucking corner.
The league has found itself at the center of a contentious debate over how woman should be defined within women's sports. Rogan suggested that unclear boundaries could leave room for rules and eligibility standards to be challenged. Brittney Griner later became part of the discussion after addressing transgender athletes in women's competition and explaining how she reacts when people mistakenly identify her as a man in public. Her comments added another dimension to an already intense conversation about fairness, eligibility, and the future direction of women's sports.
It really don't make a difference if you say he or she to me. Like when I'm out in public, like my teammates sometimes will get mad if somebody call me a he, but I'm just like, I don't care. Like, you know, we go sit down and get some food and they're like, sir, what do you want? I'm like, yeah, let me get the steak, medium well. Thank you. I'm in TSA and I'm going through TSA and, you know, the guy pats me down so I could go through. I'm cool. I didn't have people come running like, no, it's a girl's. I'm like, hey, you're making it awkward. Yeah. Like, I'm just trying to get through. Whoever could pat me down the fastest, I don't care.
Yeah.
I've had the opposite where someone was like, hey, you know, it's just against the rules. Like, he can't pat you down. Like, she has to pat you down. And then she walks up and she's looking at me. She go looking at my chest, looking me up and down, looking at my chest, trying to look at the ID. Making it awkward, or they'll ask me, you really a girl? Nah, I'm lying.
Sophie Cunningham has also become a prominent figure in the growing debate after a controversial on-court incident and public comments about protecting girls' sports drew significant attention. As discussion around her continues to intensify, Cunningham has positioned herself as someone raising concerns she believes were overlooked from the start. The bigger question now is whether the wider WNBA community will eventually take those concerns more seriously and reconsider the issues she highlighted months ago.
Brittney Griner, the WNBA's Brittney Griner, is in fact a man.
I think they know they have players in the W that will not be capable of passing a basic gender test. Let's listen to this.
Brittney Griner is a weird case. He's a man, yes, that much is obvious, but not the way you think.
You ever heard Brittney Griner talk?
Yes. The voice would make you think there's something going on.
Brittney was held in a men's Russian prison. You can see it, but there's no widespread outrage or article or anything about that. To me, that is the most suspicious part about all of this.
Joe Rogan took aim at the WNBA's approach to transgender athlete eligibility, arguing that the league's policies have raised more questions than they have answered. During the discussion, he also praised
a women's league run by women decided a shirt wearing saying "for the girls" was too offensive. Meanwhile, State Farm Arena put up a pro-trans message on the big screen, but won't allow the shirt that states basic biological fruit. What is so offensive or scary about this message? The genetic message of gender, the genetic message of biological sex. Wow, the WNBA doesn't know what a woman is, but the shirts that reference the XX chromosomes are banned.
Rogan argued that a high-profile public figure may need to speak out openly to draw attention to what he views as inconsistencies in existing policies. He questioned whether a person's stated gender identity alone should determine eligibility for women's sports, especially when competitive fairness and athletic standards are involved. His comments comments further intensified the broader discussion about eligibility rules.
Brittney Griner now adding her voice to the debate over transgender athletes. She's a WNBA star, slamming the push to ban biological men from competing against biological women.
So when someone like Brittney Griner says, actually, I'm going to fight for men to play in women's sports, is just another blow against lots of young female athletes.
But they've painted themselves in a corner, because if they don't let the guy in, it looks bad.
Right.
But if they do, he's going to dunk.
Well, the thing is, can you define what a woman is? And until you can't, if you can't define what a woman is, then you're an idiot. And this is nonsense.
Rogan also pointed to an example from France, alleging that a transgender athlete had gained a significant advantage while competing in women's events. He argued that such cases highlight broader concerns about competitive fairness, eligibility standards, and how women's sports should maintain a balance.
Brittney Griner's voice.
I believe what you said was effing white girl. Is it possible that's what you said?
No, would never say that.
Brittney Griner called Caitlin Clark trash and an effing white girl. Trash, effing white girl.
Brittney Griner, who I can't stand, sad that she's a Baylor grad.
Yeah,
she called her a trash, expletive white girl. That was the lip reading. Yes, trash, white girl.
Then came the statement that, according to Rogan, captured the heart of the controversy. If an organization cannot clearly define the difference between male and female, he argued, its policies on women's sports become difficult to defend. He called the
one of the things that Joe Rogan, a prominent podcaster, one of the things that made him wake up to this issue is he's an MMA fighter.
Correct.
And when Joe Rogan saw biological males who are transitioning to female beating the hell out of biological females in the ring, he started to think,
What are we doing?
What are we doing here? Like, why are we cheering this on?
If you say anything like, look, trans women aren't women. There are men who identify as women, which is fine, but there's a biological distinction that protects women in sports, and that's chromosomes. We know. XX chromosome, you're a woman. XY, you're a dude. Do it that way. Call yourself whatever the fuck you want. But if you want to play in the WNBA, you have to have X.
Rogan then proposed a simpler biological standard for women's sports, arguing that chromosome patterns could provide a clear eligibility rule. His suggestion was that athletes with XX chromosomes could compete in women's basketball, while gender identity could remain separate from sporting eligibility.
Sophie Cunningham, otherwise known as MAGA Barbie in the WNBA, is a superstar player. She's one of the most famous female athletes in the world because she stood up for women in women's sports, saying only biological women should be allowed to play in the WNBA. And for that, she is literally risking her life. Check this out. This is what happened to Sophie Cunningham last night when she was clotheslined by a filthy, dirty player for Chicago who has a name that I can't pronounce, or maybe I just refuse to do that. That's my right as an American. But this is a player that has attacked Caitlin Clark, gouged her eye out, that has now bloodied the face of Sophie Cunningham, and as soon as she did this, she tweeted white privilege, meaning she's declaring this is a race crime. Now, if a white woman was doing this to black women, it'd be the #1 story in the world, she'd be banned from the league forever. But somehow black women are allowed to get away with this against white women. And it's white women in the league who make themselves a target by simply standing up for traditional values and common sense.
XX to play, XY to stay out became the core of Rogan's proposed standard, delivered in roughly 45 seconds. He presented it as a simple eligibility rule, arguing that it offered more clarity than the WNBA's formal discussions on the issue.
But I'm never going to think it's all right for men to play sports against women. And I don't even think that's controversial. That's the thing that's funny. Like some of this stuff make, like when you see these debates on television, I'm like, yeah, men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. I don't want to hear you try to explain it to me. No, I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to argue with you. Men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. There's a lot of we can argue over. That ain't
you women out there. Y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA held its meeting and said there were no immediate eligibility issues to address. Meanwhile, Rogan reduced the debate to a single proposed standard in just 45 seconds. The contrast is striking. A league with 30 years of history and a 409-page CBA still hasn't offered the same level of clarity on the issue.
Doesn't the WNBA have an onus of responsibility to be able to ensure that it's fair playership, though? I don't know if playership's a word.
For college sports and for the WNBA, too, 100%. I mean, I don't think it's ever okay for guys to be playing girl sports but if this is true, then she was like the origin of this epidemic.
Mostly big black gay ladies and a few scared-looking Sophie Cunninghams that have to point fingers at people. You're surrounded. Black people think you're perhaps sexually attractive.
They've made it into a reality show. It's become like Real Housewives. They're all just fight now.
Right.
That's the only reason you watch.
But it is an interesting sexual dynamic.
A woman decided to stand up for women and female spaces. And that woman is now getting lambasted by other women because she doesn't support transgender people in female spaces. Sophie Cunningham, who many of you will probably know from this video, recently got herself in hot water because she had the audacity to say that